This is You've Already Been Hacked, recorded on
15 November 2025. Welcome back to You've Already Been Hacked. This week, the Cyber Cowboy has returned. Cowboy, where have you been?
Hello, everybody. I am not in control of my own life. I have a digital. I choose my words carefully here. I have a digital responsibility that tells me when and where to do things, and sometimes real life just gets in the way, and it's hard to link back up. But we're back. I'm back. Happy to be back with you, providing greatness to our listeners.
Well, I mean, if you want to be safe, it's your overseer, right? It's
Yes.
it's the colonel with a K, not a C.
Yes.
It's the primary operating system of the disk in which you would have it. See, you could say
Yes.
all these things over. That's all true. It's all accurate.
Yes.
All
my
right.
my Tron overwatching me.
Yes, exactly. That is a great way to put it. 100%. All right, everybody. So in our top story this week, the NPM registry is under siege again. At the time that we pulled these notes together, over 46,000 fake packages had flooded the ecosystem, and I just checked a little earlier, and according to Hacker News, it is now well over 68,000 fake packages have flooded that ecosystem. The registry is home to millions of open source libraries and has just been breached by a worm-like spam operation that has produced counterfeit packages since early 2024. These bogus modules are almost identical to legitimate ones in naming and even include quote-unquote well-known package names, making it easy for developers to pull them in without noticing the difference. The attackers use malicious code that exfiltrates secrets, downloads additional payloads, or simply installs backdoors. Because NPM is a first-stop dependency source for countless CI and CD pipelines worldwide, any project that pulls in one of these fake packages becomes vulnerable, often silently. This is pretty awful because NPM, I mean, you use it for everything as a developer, right? As an end user, you're not really going to be messing around with NPM directly too much unless you're a home labber or a tech geek or something like that and installing stuff off of from GitHub and whatnot. So for our audience, maybe this is a greater concern for you. This matters because this is another example of supply chain vector attacks. It shows how attackers can compromise the entire ecosystem by exploiting registry trust models. It is also going to highlight, again, unfortunately, developer blind spots. Even seasoned developers here are not going to be able to spot potentially or not notice that things are misspelled or subtly altered dependency names, especially when it's an auto install that happens from the command line. And there's an amplification potential in all of this. A single compromised package can infect thousands of downstream projects, magnifying the impact exponentially. Wow. Cowboy, thoughts? Gonna install anything tonight?
Not from them. So this just we've touched on it before. We never really went in depth on the dangers of worms, but here it is showcasing itself, the danger of worms that can self-propagate, right? Move all by itself. Doesn't need user interaction. The last one we really saw was WannaCry, right?
That's
Back in
a long time ago,
2017.
yeah.
Yes. And that thing was nasty. So the mechanism moves right through the back code. There's some hints that it might have come out of Indonesia. Right now, some are loaning it the name Indonesian Foods Worm. And it's just doing nasty things. Sits within a single JavaScript file, within each package. And then when you run the script, it executes as part of the post install, and off it goes. So many of these, free open use registries and storage systems are really taking it to the face right now, and it sucks for all of
everyone,
the users.
right? From the hobbyist all the way up to the enterprise, because using NPM as an install base, right, just to get a package installed it's just built in a lot of ways, especially on the server side of things, right? Not so much necessarily on your traditional Windows or Mac desktop. You have to purposefully be installing NPM for it to be there. But in many Linux distros, it's just built in, and then you literally just issue the command npm install, and then the package that you want. And yeah, if a developer who's using NPM is putting packages together in its requirements to build whatever software they've built, and they don't notice this, it's bad, just bad.
Yeah, and actually, Amazon Web Services is reporting that there's over 150,000 packages linked to a coordinated T token farming campaign within this going on in the NPM registry.
Wow.
So multiple, yeah, it looks like multiple campaigns all centered around this attack, and it's ugly.
Yeah.
Hopefully, they can get it under control pretty quick
Well,
because
there's
it's
some
going to move
things.
fast.
Yeah, there's some things that people could do, right? So you want to use npm audit and npm CI with the command tac emit equals dev, and this will help you lock a dependency at a known good version. So if you're a developer, that is something you probably want to do anyway, depending on what your software stack has in it, so that you know the version you're using is the version that's going to work. That way, when it installs in like a virtual environment or whatever, um, it's using what you need it to and not what the user just has locally to their system. You want to verify package checksums and signatures. We've said this before. It's not just an NPM issue, but across the board. That way, you know what you're installing is what it's supposed to be. VirusTotal, great place to check your checksums to see if they are known bad ones or if they're unknown, which take that for what that's worth. You want to implement a dependency monitoring solution, something like Sync or Dependabot, that flags any new registry entries with similar names. Use private mirrors or lock down your own registry and only pull from verified sources. And educate teams on package hygiene, double checking the package, the JSON, and as hard and as painful as it's going to sound for a lot of people, avoid auto install if you can. Run npm ls to audit the dependencies. That's when it comes to npm, that's so rough. I mean, I want to say yes, avoid auto install. That's the red level of hygiene, because you have to do it one at a time. But man, that's going to be painful from developing at speed. And I don't know of a better way to do it, Cowboy. Right now, I just don't.
Yeah, this is it. You know, you're stuck in the situation we're at, right? Bad people are doing bad things, and you've got to weigh the risk for yourself and what you're doing, and you know, accept that risk or slow down and be sure and be safe.
Yeah, I mean, if you remember a few weeks back, you'll remember, if our audience remembers, we did an interview with the developer of Nanocoder, right? The AI command line interface for talking to AI at the terminal level. That uses npm to install. And I'm hoping that since he's community sourced it, I hope that the community is keeping things safe, because otherwise that would be really, really unfortunate.
Yeah.
All right. Let's see what else we got. In our next story, the EU is eyeing Huawei and ZTE for a ban. The European Commission is set to ban Huawei and ZTE mobile networking equipment across the European Union. Officials cite unacceptable risks from backdoors and potential state-controlled espionage. Well, I'm sure this has nothing to do with the bus system that showed that it could be turned off remotely. I'm sure that was not a tipping point for anyone in the EU, Cowboy. What do you think?
I mean, they're late to the party, but they got there. I guess they were using that bus and it kept getting turned off. I mean, countries do stuff behind the doors, right? But this company and their history
Well,
of
both of them, right? Huawei
uh,
and ZTE.
it,
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, you got to be crazy to let them anywhere near your country, your infrastructure, your anything, because it right? It's been out for a long time. They're gonna steal information. They're gonna create backdoors into your network and everything else for the Chinese government, and it just get rid of them. The world needs to shut them out, and they can just sit and operate from within China,
Can I
and
can
that's
I
that.
can I be the devil's advocate just for a point of order sort of scenario here? Not saying I disagree,
Yeah.
but
Discussion's always good. Let's do it.
I think discussions are right. So there's going to be a lot of people out there, whether general consumer here inside the United States, prosumers, global consumer base, right? They see Huawei and ZTE as exceptionally innovative companies producing product that your traditional providers are simply not able to keep up with. So why are you telling me that I shouldn't be using what it ostensibly looks like the best product? Right?
I'm
Thoughts?
trying to think of a good analogy for that one. Yeah, I mean,
Right.
it'd
Well,
be like,
so here, let me
you know,
I'll give
give
you an
me a
example.
state of the art hand grenade, and but it could blow up in my face at any moment remotely, right? Like,
But how do you know that?
um,
Like, that's the problem
well,
is like, and you said it, countries do a lot of stuff behind the scenes, right? A lot
sure,
of the
but that's why I said these
evidence,
guys have been doing it for a long time. Like, it's
yeah,
known,
but a
right?
lot
It's
of the
just
evidence that countries have against these guys is also not been brought into real public scrutiny. So
that's fair.
how does the consumer know this is just not anti-competitive behavior?
That's fair. Transparency is always a big deal, especially within cyber, right? And I'm sure there's good reason for it, but uh,
Well, sources and methods and access and a lot of this is probably coming from the intelligence world, right? So if that's the case, then obviously they're not going to tell us how they got it or how they know it because then they'll give up how, wherever they are. But at the same time, it's a tough pill to swallow. Um, if your entire infrastructure stack is built on it, and that could be multi-millions of dollars now that are going to be outright unusable. So you better, and again, I'm taking the devil's advocate, folks. I am not necessarily in defense of Huawei or ZTE. I'm just trying to point this out. Um, if I'm a corporate executive and I've built out my infrastructure with Huawei or ZTE because it was price competitive for the environment that I'm in, which is something absolutely has to be taken into consideration. You're going to tell me now,
mhm.
not only is my entire infrastructure something that has to be scrapped, I have to rebuild from zero with one of your preferred or acceptable providers who is going to charge me 2 to 3 times as much. Now I can't even compete in the market because I've just lost all of that's a loss.
Just the price of doing business.
It's the price of doing
Right.
business. It's
Probably
unfortunate.
far cheaper to be sued and everything else than rebuild it all up, right?
That's probably right. Yeah, unfortunately, right? I don't know. I mean, I don't know how. I don't have good words for those that may be impacted by this. And as a consumer, it stings, but it's something that you can get over. And we can only hope that our more trusted providers, is the way I would do it, can innovate at a faster speed than the companies that are ostensibly being less trusted, right? I mean, I think of an idea of where a phone that Huawei has coming out, just at the consumer level, is a trifold phone where it unfolds 3 times and you have a 10-inch tablet. No one else is doing that right now. It looks cool. It works well. It gets good reviews from tech reviewers, all that sort of stuff. But is that something that the general population should be worried about when they pick up their device? And from the looks of it, from the EU and Huawei, the answer to that is yes. Be afraid of Huawei and ZTE at every level.
Yeah, sure, it looks cool, but goodbye banking information. I wonder how cyber insurance, would look at companies after this gets. I mean, the FCC has already had them on the blacklist for forever. But when the EU does it, I wonder how that'll impact cyber insurance
That's a really
for those
interesting
that have
point.
it.
Yeah. And then, not mentioned here in this story, TP-Link, right? U.S. government is looking at banning TP-Link networking gear. Also hyper price competitive compared to what you could get from, say, a Netgear or a Cisco or someone else. So how much of that is going to be problematic? It's just another interesting thing that's, it's going to be impactful.
Yeah, I didn't know that. So interesting.
Yeah.
You know,
Just, just keep your eyes out there, folks. I mean, my sense of it is it is not anti-competitive behavior that's driving these decisions, that for better or worse, these governments have come across information that they believe is credible enough to suggest that there is a real threat that would require this technology to be excised from their domain of control. And take that for what that's worth. Those are my 2 cents on it. Okay. Next story. IBM Storage DS8000 safeguarded copy. IBM's red paper explains how safeguarded copy feature is something that now creates immutable point-in-time backups for DS8000 storage arrays. This is a good thing. If you don't know what an immutable backup is, I'm sure Cowboy will tell us here in a second. Essentially, there's a snapshot to cloud that protects against ransomware and data loss. But Cowboy, how does an immutable backup work?
an immutable backup copies your data and makes it so that it cannot be altered, modified, or deleted. Right? It protects from ransomware, accidental deletion.
That's good.
We've all done that, right? And more particularly here, like sabotage. It's a write once, read many, almost kind of a worm principle, and makes it secure and unchangeable. Right? It is 100% that it's good to go. No questions. And
so when the live data gets
big deal.
Yeah, when your live data gets crushed with malware or whatever, this backup will be pure and clean, or at least as clean as it was when it was backed up, right? Like that's the key we should say here. Excellent. This is important because data resiliency is the cornerstone of any cyber defense strategy, and immutable snapshots make rollback after an attack trivial. The only data you'll lose is whatever is the data since the backup. So depending on how you do decrement backups and all that sort of stuff, you might lose next to nothing. Maybe a couple hours worth of backup, depending on where you're at. What could or should you be doing here? Well, if you have IBM storage DS8000s as part of your storage solution, you may want to integrate safeguarded copy or the equivalent into your backup plan and schedule regular point-in-time snapshots and test restores quarterly. So in the digital SOC here, I back up on a 3-2-1 principle, right? So for those that don't know the 3-2-1 principle, you have 3 copies of your data, 2 backup copies of your data, and one of those backup copies should be at an off-site location. For the most critical functions inside the SOC, I do a backup daily. For the semi-critical functions, I do weekly backups. And for the not so critical functions, I do monthly backups. And some people may be going, oh my God, why would you do it like that? Well, it just depends on, it's not just criticality, it's also how fast the data that we want to data that we want to store changes, right? So if there were things inside the digital SOC that changed more rapidly than once a day, then I would have backups that would be doing, faster cycling backups than that, but I don't. I can pretty much be confident that from a 24-hour cycle backup for me is sufficient for what we have here in the digital SOC. But you should have a backup plan that's similar to that, and this is great. I'm a big supporter of immutable operating systems, and I know that'll hurt some people out there, and I'm sorry. I'm a big supporter of immutable backups. I think they're essential in how to secure your information, especially when It just seems like you can blink and turn your head, and something is attacking something at this point. Cowboy, thoughts?
Yeah, I really want to see more critical infrastructure and more PII type of businesses like hospitals,
Yeah.
as an example,
Yeah.
to get to a regular, fast, immutable backup, because they are continued targets. They're going to get hit, and they can't afford to get locked out. And they really can't afford to pay the ransom either, right? So this allows you for a a safe, quick fix turnaround and get back on your feet, get operating, and save people. Going back to the hospital reference, so love to see more. I get it; it's a cost, but it's better in the long run.
Agree. Um, all right. Next story is Threatbook NDR recognized as a strong performer in Gartner's Peer Insights 2025. Threatbook's network detect and respond platform earned top marks for its ability to detect advanced threats across the network fabric, especially useful against stealthy supply chain attacks like those seen with NPM. Awesome.
Yeah.
This is important because it demonstrates that modern NDR solutions are now essential, not optional, for spotting lateral movement and anomalous traffic. Well, maybe Garnet's onto something this time, as opposed to what their top threats of 2025 were. Cowboy.
That's right. That's right. And hey, congratulations, Threatbook. Great to see, a peer review giving you such high marks. We'll take that as a win, since we don't have a story about any big arrests today.
Yeah.
We'll take it. So I've not used it, but now I kind of want to go in and do some research on it and see uh, that stuff. But that's awesome. It's great to see the defenders coming out with more better, faster, uh, not just detection, right? But the correlation piece has really come a long way
Yeah.
in the last 5-10 years, right? Where, um, yeah, the bells went off, it caught something, but what does that mean? Where else is it maybe in the network, right? And so being able to start putting the whole picture together in, computer near real time is fantastic.
Yeah. Anything that can help um, third-party risk management like this, and that's really what it is, right? Essentially, um, I think is a win. Like, go do it more. Give me more DNR solutions. Let's just make
Yeah,
sure that it's
absolutely.
just not another tool that we add that we don't know how to use, right? Like, that's the only thing. That's the only
Yeah.
thing I would be concerned with.
Yeah, I'd rather have less but better. Yeah, exactly. Like executable stuff you use. All the cool bells like asset discovery, right? What's on your network? You thought you knew, you don't, right? But that automated analysis, enrich it with cyber threat intelligence. That's huge. Bring that in. Get people that understand what that means and why it's important, and just let's get after the adversaries, man. Protect our stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, this is just good. I like I like I like I like when good guys are actually doing things that are going to be helpful, as opposed to just all the bad stories. All right, in our last story, Microsoft is bringing online its Atlanta-based AI super factory. Microsoft has opened its new multi-billion-dollar AI data center in Atlanta, featuring ultra-high density server farms, which is an attractive target now for nation-state adversaries who are seeking to disrupt AI workloads or steal proprietary models. So the good here is we have a new data center online focused on AI. For as much as everyone thinks that there's a bubble and the energy problems and the memory shortages and everything, this is now, it's a reality, and it's a world we're going to live in. So until money doesn't move or move somewhere else, this is what's going to happen. So I don't think that having a new data center online is necessarily a bad thing. I think that there is a severe hunger for AI. Um, more power to it, right? Like, that's good. If we're gonna feed the machine, we might as well feed it well. But yes, we now have another target, another literal attack surface that is operational. One would hope that, well, just given the news that happened with supposed Chinese hackers doing what supposedly they did with Anthropic to use it as a platform that could conduct malicious activity. Let's hope that we have a little better security protecting this new data center. Cowboy?
I mean, as Microsoft is arguably like a computer founder, right? Like they were one of the few that started the industry. I hope that in 2025 they understand the need to have the defenses in place. I hope and I have faith that they built it in. It was baked in. They're not going to add on. Like it's still a thing in today's world, which is just absolutely mind-boggling to me. Like I want to hit people who don't bake in the cybersecurity in today's world. But like all of the faith is there that they did it right. I mean, it's a brand new data center. They built it up from the ground. They should have been able to bake all this stuff in. And I look forward to not ever having a news story on our podcast
about this data center.
Attackers getting after it. Yep.
Yeah, that would be fantastic. So if you are one of the few people,
we can talk about them trying, though. Sorry,
we can
talk about them trying.
Oh yeah, we could talk about them trying and failing
and
would be wonderful. So if you're listening from Microsoft, or if you're in a data center at large, something that you should be doing related to this would be harden your access controls with zero trust, audit your firmware updates, monitor your anomalous telemetry, and use supply chain verification for any third-party components. Good luck down there in Atlanta.
And if you need any advice or support, give us a call.
Always,
we'll get a 1099 private contract.
All right, Cowboy, you got anything else for us this evening, sir?
Oh, as always, they didn't steal your wallet, but they published thousands of fake modules, so your build chain becomes the heist. I'm Cyber Cowboy. Stay frosty.
Wow. Poignant as always and missed. I'm glad you're back. That's all the news for this week. I'm the professor of CyberRisk, and we'll talk again soon.
If you like this podcast, share it with your colleagues and friends. Your support is how we are able to continue to make this content. Thank you.